Hey guys, welcome back to notes number 3 of our systems unit on the digestive system. Our main goal is to again be comparative with all of these systems, and digestive system included, between different types of animals and the different strategies of digestion that they use. So we'll start off with a model organism here. Our model organism is a sponge, right? So looking at a sponge, we can see they're definitely different, right? A lot of people look at them and be like, well, I wouldn't call that an animal. It doesn't get up and run around and eat, right? And they'd be wrong. And these are animals, and they are highly specialized to do what they do. But yeah, they don't move. And so, being a sessile creature like that, they have to digest differently. This mode of digestion is intracellular, and basically that means that digestion occurs within the cell. There are specialized cells that just can grab on food particles and extract nutrients and take them in and feed directly off of them. So it would be most similar as if like your intestines were just immediately just grabbing food right away that you didn't chew, swallow, go in your stomach, right? They go straight through. They're filter feeders. You can see a great example on this picture here of a filter feeder. The scuba diver here put some green dye down here near the base, and you can see the green dye gets filtered and pushed from the bottom through the top, and then that goes through these specialized cells. So the top, the osculum, is where the stuff comes out. The amoebocytes and mesenchyme carry nutrients to other parts of the cell, so they're within the inside of the sponge. And then you have pore cells that allow water and nutrients into the sponge. So more of those pore cells, like near the bottom, kind of basically create this current, and they have specialized cells that kind of whip the water through and make this current from bottom to top. As they do that, they grab the food out of the water, and they have to do this continually to be able to feed. So they can't store food necessarily like they do in a stomach. Our next organism is the Planarian, or a flatworm. So we'll look at these in class, and these have a gastrovascular cavity, or a two-way gut. And basically what we're talking about with a gastrovascular cavity is a simple stomach, essentially. But there's one way in, one way out, so that's why it's a two-way, right? It has two-way traffic. So, if there's food out here, um, the special structure that the Planarian has is a pharynx, and it's a tube basically used to in place of their mouth and esophagus and all that stuff. So if there's a food particle out here, basically they're able to use the pharynx, bring it into their body, and then like their gastrovascular cavity, let's say, is right here, through the main section of their body. It'll digest, and then when they're done, they're going to excrete it out the same way. So this would be the idea of this two-way digestive system, right? One way in, one way out. So food goes in, food goes out. So our food particles here, food goes in, food goes out. Should be pretty straightforward idea with that. So yeah, outside of the body for this particular organism is where digestion starts to occur. And you can kind of see that in the pictures here with a real Planarian and that pharynx tube coming out onto a food source. Our next example organism is a Cnidarian, or a Hydra. The overall process basically for this guy is also this two-way gut idea. So we'll put this again. So food would be out here. So here's our food particle, and then it's going to use these stinging cells on their tentacles, these specialized stinging cells called nematocysts, and it's going to grab our food. In this case, they're a little bigger they're a bigger organism, or they can be, comparatively to some of the other things we'll talk about. And they use these cells to grab the food particle, and then they bring it in and digest. So here there's a little Daphnian who was the prey, a water flea. It's going to stay in there and be digested in this gastrovascular cavity, and when it's done with it, it's going to push it out the same way. So again, two-way traffic, basically, two-way traffic. But there's one way in, one way out. That makes two ways. So tentacles make it specialized, and gastrovascular cavity, this idea of extracellular digestion where there's actually a space for this to occur is a kind of a key term here too. And then you can kind of see this picture down here of how these stinging cells work, this little animation. So this is a mosquito larvae. I think this is near the end of its digestion process, but they'll sting it. The mosquito larvae won't be able to move. It gets paralyzed, and then it's able to wrap it up with its tentacles and bring it in to be consumed. The next model organism we'll look at are roundworms. Earthworm is a great example of that. These are more complex creatures than you might think, as you know see them in the soil or in your garden or out on the sidewalk after a rainstorm, and you think, man, these things really, they don't really look anything special about them. But when you really focus on some of the things that they have highly specialized structures in their digestive system. Their overall process really is this one-way gut path, and that is essentially saying that we go from the mouth all the way through the digestive tract, and food is being digested all along the way, and out the anus at the end, and excreted. And so basically, that's how a one-way gut's going to work. This is great because you can store food, you can still eat while you're digesting other food, so there's an advantage there versus two-way gut. When you got food in, you got to digest it before you can eat again, and then you have to excrete it. Or this way, you can just continually eat food and have digestion occur constantly, which gives you an advantage. It can be a little bit bigger, a little more high energy, a little more mobile. All those things are an advantage. Undigested material exits through the anus here. A specialized structure, obviously having a dedicated mouth. A crop, a worm's going to have crop and gizzard, which are located here. The crop first, the gizzard second. It's basically the crop is a modified stomach, can hold food and help break it down. The gizzard is really going to do some heavy grinding. This is a harder structure. It's going to able to grind food as it passes through the digestive system more efficiently, and then it gets into the intestines and is able to be actually absorbed.